I'm Frank Powers, and this is Lifestyle Tucson, the program where I speak to our neighbors, the people behind the scenes of our amazing organizations that are 501c3 nonprofits. Our friends are informing you how they serve our community, and they are here to give you updates on future projects. Let's make some new friends today. Yeah. So, 2 words, Quilt Fiesta. That's right, celebrate 50 years of quilting excellence with the Tucson Quilters Guild. Celebrate quilting, community, and the rich history of Arizona quilting traditions. February 19th through the 21st. That's right, 3 days of quilting. It is a fiesta. It's at the old Pueblo Hall on the Pima County Fairgrounds. Special exhibits are actually going to include old Glories antique quilts from Lenna DeMarco and Patchwork, stitching together Arizona history in partnership with the Arizona Historical Society, and proceeds are going to go to a couple of great nonprofits. But I'll tell you what, I was sold at Quilt Fiesta. And today, I'm fortunate to speak with Lynn Rubel, co-director of Quilt Fiesta. Lynn, welcome to Lifestyle Tucson.
Thank you for having me. I love the opportunity to talk about quilting.
So do
I. Quilts.
And she didn't come alone. She's got Helen Frost with her, also co-director of Quilt Fiesta. Helen, welcome to Lifestyle Tucson.
Yeah, thank you. It's fun being here.
I'm so excited because you sent me an email and it was just Quilt Fiesta. I'm like, enough. That's all I needed to read. Because I love this sort of thing. This is like the type of thing I think Tucson is a big deal, a community, people getting together and really being able to like form these long bonds. This is 50 years of the Tucson Quilters Guild. That's really impressive, especially because we're celebrating like 101 years of rodeo and 100 years of these other traditions here in Tucson. 50 years, that is so impressive. So let's talk all about the Tucson Quilters Guild and Quilt Fiesta. Give me a little bit of the 101 about the Tucson Quilters Guild.
The Tucson Quilt Guild started with a group that met at the Arizona Historical Society 50 years ago. A lot of it, we believe, was because of the 150th birthday of the United States. There was a renewed interest in quilting. And this group got together and formed to decide to promote quilting and the arts that it goes with. And these ladies started a quilt show within a couple years after forming. The quilt shows were in the back room of Cloth World, the women's building.
The Old Women's Club.
The Old Women's Club and Tucson Community Center. And we have now moved to the Fairgrounds, 55,000 square feet of quilts.
That's a lot of quilts. That's a lot of quilts.
A lot of quilts. And we're also going to have a retrospective exhibit of winners of the quilt show for the last 50 years. And we want to show everyone how it's evolved and how it's changed. Even we have little exhibits or people that from the rigid quilt group and the art quilt group that will bring another kind of version of quilts. So you can picture them cuddled up on the TV, on the sofa watching the TV, but then you can also picture these beautiful textile works of art that will hang on your walls.
Yes, I actually saw like just a meme recently about a museum, and it was all about how we see these like rugs, famous Oriental rugs, things like that, but they were hung on walls almost as if like that is the way to present them. Don't be walking all over them. These are fabulous works of art. And to hear how much and how deep the rich history of quilting is, it's fascinating to think of it as an art form, not just, a blanket. That's the idea. There's a huge art form to it when it comes to it. And I really just do want to hear more about it, even from your personal experience. So how long have you been involved with, is it the Tucson Quilters Guild or Tucson Quilter Guild?
Quilters Guild.
It is Quilters, okay.
Mm-hmm. I've belonged, a little over 10 years. I've been quilting for closer to 20. But my partner here, Helen, has the deepest and richest involvement in quilting and the Tucson Quilters Guild, starting with her mother.
Oh, tell me.
Well, but my mother didn't teach me to quilt.
Okay.
I learned to quilt on my own. Quilting got very popular with the coming of the bicentennial in 1976,
okay.
And people got interested in quilts again, and that's where lots of guilds popped up all around the country, and that's, of course, when the Tucson Guild was formed. I moved to Arizona from California. I was in guilds there, and so one of the first things I did when we moved to Tucson was to find find the local quilt guild. My membership number is 147, which means that I've been a member a long time because now we're in the thousands.
Look at that. How many members do you have? I think you wrote it down somewhere. Yeah.
Pre-pandemic, we were up to about 750. We were one of the largest in the nation. Post-pandemic, we hover around 400 pretty consistently. We ebb and flow from our winter visitors and not, but that seems to stay pretty steady, and it covers the whole Tucson area. But we have members as far down as Sierra Vista, and we even have somebody that travels from Phoenix to come down to our guild because we have awesome speakers that put on workshops that are nationally known speakers that put on workshops and talk to us about quilting. So we have a really big attraction for people that want to learn. You don't have to know how to sew to join us. We have a very deep breadth and knowledge of quilting in our membership. So just joining up with us, you can be enveloped and learn as much as you want on the arts of quilting.
That is fun, and that's how people make friends. Let me tell you, if you're looking for a thing, it's a hobby. It's a good way to hang out, meet people, just get involved, and especially doing something creative. So I love it. Now, you just said sewing. When it comes to quilting, is it sewing? Is it knitting? Is it both? Or are you anti-knitting? Sometimes I think there's like a thing.
No. Knitting is a whole different media. Quilting is fabric and all kinds of fabrics that you can use to put a quilt together. And technically a quilt is a top, something in the middle. We use batting now and backing. But then you can go from there. As I mentioned, the rigid frames, you can put it on something rigid and hang it on the wall. You can embellish it. You can just take it from there as far as your imagination. And so, but it's working texturally with different fabrics and that kind of thing.
There you go. So don't get confused. It's not knit one, purl two.
No.
That's not it at all.
No.
So that's the thing. So now, real quick, let's get back to the actual event itself. Let's talk about Quilt Fiesta. Because there's a little bit of the history, and I love it because it's all about people getting together, and I find that happens here in Tucson and why organizations like yours thrive. Some of it's the size. It's the ebb and flow of the population. I use the example of this. I used to work at a restaurant downtown called Grill, and we would have like little groups of people show up doing things like a sewing group, a knitting group. Then it's like there's 17 people getting together. But then I'm from Long Island. I moved back to Long Island. If Long Island was its own state, it would be the most populous state. It's like 5,800 people per square mile. And that's the difference. It takes 40 minutes to get anywhere. There's not a lot of community out there. And I find that Tucson has this community and has the ability for people to actually find one another and get together. And then there's strength in numbers where you have a big party called Quilt Fiesta. So that is exciting. And I want to learn all about it. How many times have you attended the Quilt Fiesta?
10 years.
Yeah, 10 years of Quilt Fiesta.
Oh, well,
you're at 45 years.
Yeah. We're 50 years old, but it's our 47th show.
Right.
We didn't have a show right away, and originally the show was just showing off quilts. Gradually, we added having vendors. People come to sell different quilt-related and other things like jewelry and fabulous clothing. As the quilts got more sophisticated, we decided to have it a judge show. So we have nationally accredited quilt judges come in and, really analyze the quilts. They judge them on workmanship and also on visual impact. And some people choose not to have their quilts judged. They don't want to be criticized at all, although it's a great learning experience to see how they can improve. But again, this year, because of our special exhibit, it's called 50 Fabulous Years, we've invited past winners of our show. So we have quilts that were made in the 70s, 80s that are all hand quilted and were meant to go on a bed. And then we have the newer quilts that are made completely by machine and are made to go on a wall.
Oh, wow. See, I didn't realize that there's even the difference between handmade and now machine. I didn't think there was any machine involvement at all. Is AI taking over quilting?
No. You still need the human touch on a quilt. And not only the human touch, blood, sweat, and tears.
There you go. It goes into that. It is an art form after all. So make sure that you know everything. Let's just get some of these dates again. It's February 19th through the 21st. That's Thursday, Friday, 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. at the Pima County Fairgrounds in the old Pueblo hall, $10 per day or $20 for the entire 3-day pass. Hundreds of quilts, prize-winning Judge Quilts, fabulous vendors, basket, bonanza raffle, and a small quilt sale for charity. So let's talk about some of these events, because you were saying when we got here that, yes, a lot of it is just show-off quilts. A lot of the people there are not there selling quilts. It's like an art show more than anything else. And then you're going to have an area where people are selling some quilts. So that's fascinating that it is a celebration of quilting, not just everyone's a vendor.
We want to share the comfort and warmth that come from quilts. Quilters are very, very generous, and the Quilt Guild has formed a group called Quilt for Others, which is part of the guild, that have put thousands and thousands of quilts into the community to children's cancer wards, hospice, kidney dialysis centers, the VA hospice, and as well as other places of senior residence that could benefit from the warmth and comfort of a quilt. Now, the small quilt is, again, our very generous members have donated small artistic quilts that can be everything from put in a frame, hung on the wall, put on the back of your sofa. There's table runners. There's a little bit of everything. And the proceeds from this sale go to Friends of Aphasia and KXCI Radio. We change up every year our charities that the money that this sale raises to go to. And then we're also sharing with Quilt for a Cause, who sell quilts to raise money for women cancers and spread it out into the medical community here in Tucson. So, I mean, as much as we like to brag and show off our quilts, we're also extremely generous and giving of our talents and our quilts, putting them out into the community.
I mean, that is just so nice. And that was something we were talking about off air, is just all of these great organizations that you're helping. It's not about raising money for you guys to throw a party. It's about raising money for all these great charities, all these great things that are helping kids, helping out folks, helping out the elderly. That's really important. And when you're talking about like the warmth of an organization, you are literally talking about it because it's a quilt. So that's pretty impressive as well, whether it's using it to be hung on the wall or actually be wrapping yourself up in it. That's a big deal. I also just want everyone to know Tucson Quilters Guild.com is where you can go get some of the details about everything going on. And you can go find the event on Facebook. Go like them. Just go look up the Tucson Quilt Fiesta. What better words have I ever said in a row? My goodness. So now let's talk about some of these other things, because you've got the special exhibits and you're talking about the bicentennial. So now that we are at 250 years, obviously quilting a big deal, and you're going to be celebrating it with Old Glories antique quilts from Lenna DeMarco. So tell me about this special exhibit.
Lenna is from Sun City by Phoenix, and she is a collector and authority on antique quilts. She has a fabulous collection of quilts. And we asked her if she had any patriotic quilts. Oh, my heavens, does she have patriotic quilts? She has several eagle quilts that feature eagles, and they're all from the mid-1800s.
Wow.
She has a dated quilt from 1867.
Wow.
And so she has grouped together 15 of her most fabulous patriotic quilts, and they're all hand-done, made in the middle of, not the last century, the century before that.
Yeah.
And these quilts are just exquisitely quilted, exquisitely made, and yet they were made to go on a bed.
Wow.
So women have always used their talents to not just make a bed cover, but to make art.
Yeah, and to make something beautiful. That's what you're trying to do, right? That's the idea. If you can beautify a space, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to live in comfort, but live in beauty, and that's what art is. I'm an artist, if you can't tell. So I do love that sort of thing. When we talk about it, let me ask you this, because it just pops in my head. What do you think the monetary value of a quilt like that is? Is there, like, do these things get worth thousands of dollars?
Oh, they're thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
But it doesn't pay for the creativity and the just the hours that go into quilts. These handmade quilts took years.
Yeah.
Not just days, but years to not only create the tops that were hand stitched, but then quilting it together. But that brings us to the community. These 1800 quilts made then, a group of women would get together and hand quilts for if it was for a wedding, for a baby. It's a very community thing. These women would share their lives and their talents while they were sewing. So, and our guild perpetuates that with our quilt bees and things, that women still get together, talk quilting, hand stitch and stitch together just to share their lives and to share quilting.
Firstly, you just said a brand new term, a quilt bee. Oh,
quilt bee.
Tell me about a quilt bee, because I know you must meet more than once a year for a fiesta. Do you meet monthly and have a good time?
Well, we have our monthly meetings where we sometimes bring in a nationally known speaker that gives a program and then holds a workshop. But we have smaller groups within the guild, and we call them quilt bees. Just like in the old days, it was a quilting bee. Just like there were husking bees.
Spelling bees.
Spelling bees.
Jamming bee jam.
Yeah, so it was a way for women to get together and socialize while they were getting something accomplished at the same time.
That's excellent. I love that term. New favorite term. I need to come up with my own sort of bee. I think that's the way to do it. I think that's a good way to do it.
Well, it is, because you get inspired from each other. And that's what the Quilt Fiesta also does, is we inspire and promote and encourage each other by walking around and seeing what other quilters have made. You go home and go, I want to do that. You break into your stash or your collection of fabric, and you've been so inspired at looking at these 300 quilts that we've got there that you want to get started, and all your creative juices come out, and it's really an invigorating experience.
Yeah, that just sounds like it. Honestly, you couldn't put it better. So now there's more going on, because you've got that amazing Old Glories antique quilts, but then you've also got Patchwork, stitching together Arizona history, and it's presented by the Arizona Historical Society. So tell me about what this special exhibit is, and then let's talk just a smidge about the Arizona Historical Society.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to share this. We're kind of full circle. They started us, and now they're helping us start at our 50th birthday, celebrate our 50th birthday. Their collection is amazing of textile quilts that they are bringing, and they have Goldie Richmond's The Prospector quilt, which is really, really special. Tells the story of her husband and her brother-in-law and her and prospecting in southern Arizona. We have the Centennial quilt, which traveled during the bicentennial, and the Arizona Centennial and the bicentennial. It traveled around the state. And one of the women that was instrumental in creating and having that quilt come to be is going to be with us. She's in her 90s.
She's 9.
Yeah.
Wow.
Should we be telling that news?
Yes, when you get to that age, you're a legend, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Because we have another member who his membership number is 10 that we want to brag on later.
Wow.
But the Historical Society quilts, we have Goldie Richmond, we have the Centennial quilt, and then we also have a genealogical quilt that they're bringing that is representative of the different generations of a family.
The Sosa family.
The Sosa family.
Sosa family.
And then we also have, they're bringing a couple of the Migrant Quilt Project quilts that are extremely moving quilts. These are from clothes that have been collected from the migrants that have come through, and they've made quilts out of them. So they tell the stories of the migrants that have come, and they really are impactful when you look at them.
Yeah, the long stories with all of these quilts. It's amazing. Again, history, heritage, art. There's so much that we're talking about. It's blowing my mind. All about quilts. That's great. I have a question about something that I know I'm going to interview them in a little while. I'm involved with. Tucson Folk Festival celebrates with a quilt. They have like a traditional quilt that they do every year, and I believe they auction off a quilt from some group that also does that. So maybe I'll put you in touch, because I like connecting all the dots for everyone here in Tucson, especially if, like, hey, we're all nerding out about quilts. So I know another group of friends that love this too. Let's all get together.
Well, and talking about that, our opportunity quilt for this year, which you can buy a ticket and win, is very representative of our 50 years. The different blocks in that quilt are from an opportunity quilt from the last 50 years of the Quilt Guild.
Wow.
So that quilt in itself tells a big story about the Guild, and the women that created this quilt did a phenomenal job.
No, it is beautiful. Is that the picture here on the flyer? That's
yes,
what that one is? That's
yeah.
amazing. So now this is the opportunity quilt. people are going to enter to win this one?
Correct.
Wow. So that's amazing. So that is going to be one of the raffle prizes, or is that
no, it's
you
not,
bid on it?
Well, it is a raffle. Yeah, so you'll throw your name in a hat and then keep your fingers crossed.
Well, you buy a ticket, though.
You buy a ticket.
Yes. So that is the thing. So we're going to do that. Again, all of this going toward these great nonprofits, Friends of Aphasia, KXCR, our other radio friends. We got Quilt for a Cause. They're helping out a bunch of great folks. So it really is amazing what you're all doing, getting together, having this great big event. Again, February 19th through the 21st. It's only $10 for a day, $20 for all 3 days. So go get all the details over at TucsonQuiltersGuild.com. You've got a lovely logo. It looks like a pinwheel. There's all these other resources there. You've got all this great stuff going on with quilt shows, membership. What is it to be a member, and how do you get involved over on the .com?
Well, let me start with our logo is a quilt pattern called the card trick.
Oh, okay. That looks like a card trick now that you say it. Well said.
That's what it is. Membership is you come, and being a member, of course, gets you involved in the Quilt Fiesta and makes our speakers available to you. And we have meetings once a month, but it sets you up with other people in your area if you want to join a Quilt Bee. What else would you like to know?
It's $50 a year, but
There you
worth
go.
every penny. Worth every
That's
penny.
what I'm saying. That's nothing. And it obviously is helping everything go to a good thing. Getting together, making friends, can't put a price on that, right? That is not a lot of money a month. That is like $5, I think, right? Just about.
And these are lifetime friends.
Yes.
I mean, yes.
Now that you've been doing this for 10 years over here, plenty of time there, tell me about some of your favorite memories. What is some of your favorite memories of doing this and the event, just being a part of the organization for as long as you have?
Well, just seeing how the show has grown, because it was really just a small show and tell kind of group, and it was in the back room at the old Cloth World that was on Broadway in Wilmot.
Wow.
And to see how it has grown, that in when we really started to grow is when we moved to the Tucson Convention Center.
Okay.
And it was big time. We took we started in a small upstairs room, and then the bigger room, and then the one downstairs, and then pretty soon we were in the big exhibit hall, the same one that the gym shows in.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fun to see how it grew. That originally we would have, they called them props. We would have the quilts displayed with things like rocking chairs and spinning wheels, and that after a while we realized, no, the quilts are the focus. Let's just show those. But we had for our 40th show, we had a Ruby Jubilee and had a red and white quilt challenge. And, we've done special challenges over the years.
So I see that right on the website, is that there's new member challenges, the president's challenge. You've got challenges, which is great. Remember, that's why TikTok works. It's about giving people a challenge, and then people, I'll do this. It gets them motivated, because sometimes just that prompt is the thing, and giving people the almost the guardrails of like, here, stay in this lane. It's red and black. That's the theme. What can you do with that? Is a good way to get a project going, and then have everybody doing a project is always fun to get together and like, what did you do? What did you come up with? A great experience, and always fun to get together and be challenged by new friends. That's the other part of it too.
Well, and the President Challenge this year, because it is our 50th birthday, is to come up with something gold, a quilt having some type of gold to go in it. The new member challenge, they are given a piece of fabric. My year, it was quite unattractive, and you had to create something pretty from this piece of fabric. It had to be used some way in your new member quilt. In addition to the membership and the new member, we also took the center panel from the Opportunity quilt, had digital prints made of it, and issued a challenge for members to come up create something no bigger than 160 inches with that center panel of the Opportunity quilt.
That's brilliant.
Because they're all going to be exhibited roughly in the same place in the hall, we also have a kids row, and where we're trying to bring along another generation. And so we have quilts made by kids under 18 that can enter hopefully through their grandmothers, but we have a couple of schools that encourage sewing and quilt making, and so we also have that as part of our kind of special area.
Absolutely incredible. This event has so much, because I talk to events every week. You've got so many what we call legs of the table. When you're throwing an event, you want to make sure you've got this going. Oh, there's something for kids. And then, it only costs this much and goes to a good cause. There's a raffle. We're up to 3 legs. Oh, it's 3 days long and it's only this much. Well, now we're going. And then you're even setting the table with all these other great activities going
Well,
on.
and let me give you another leg.
Go ahead.
We also have Quilts of Valor that are there, and they set up sewing machines so that our visitors, our public, can come in, sit, and help make a quilt for a worthy veteran.
Amazing. We have checked every box, I think, today. Helping veterans, too. My favorite thing to do. That is so impressive. The Quilt Fiesta is February 19th through the 21st, Thursday, Friday, 9 a.m. till 5 p.m., Saturday, 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. at the Pima County Fairgrounds. You can get all the details over at TucsonQuiltersGuild.com. Any final calls to action before we go? I cannot believe that we're out of time. This is one of the fastest conversations I've had.
No, we can't be done. We haven't talked about the basket bonanza.
These are fabulous baskets made of donated items. 12 chances for $10, and there's 24 different baskets, and they're not all sewing things. In past years, we've had a wine lover's basket, a chocolate lover's basket, but each basket is worth
hundreds.
At least try to keep them under $250 worth of stuff, but we usually fail to do that. There's really a lot of stuff that you can win for basically $10 for 12 chances, and they're gorgeous baskets. That's a big hit.
There's a lot. There's a lot going on. Any other last things that we haven't touched on?
I want to say the Quilt Fiesta is for everyone. Whether you sew or not, you will find something of interest and something very inspiring. So come to the Quilt Fiesta.
That's right. After talking about all this, I'll just say what I said right at the beginning. I was sold at Quilt Fiesta. Because today I was fortunate to speak with Lynn Rubel as well as Helen Frost, co-directors of the Quilt Fiesta, celebrating 50 years of the Tucson Quilters Guild. Thank you both so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
This was Lifestyle Tucson. Bing bong bing, time for a recap. Quilt Fiesta. Yes, what a great conversation. I was so happy to get that email, and when I saw that it was Quilt Fiesta, I was like, this is exactly the type of thing I like to talk about, because I love organizations like this, and I knew it was going to be this exact type of conversation. Some great ladies that have been doing this for literally 45 years. One of them has attended out of 50. So a pretty great time to talk to them all about the history of quilting, the art form of it. And man, I have a lot of events on here, and they don't stack as many things going on at one event as this event seems to be doing. For 3 days, February 19th through the 21st, it is just $10, $20 for all 3 days. They did want me to add parking is $8. They do not keep that. That is for the venue. So support those rodeo grounds anyway. Got to go support them. And there's going to be a lot of fun stuff happening all around it. There's judge quilts. There's some prizes. There's a basket bonanza raffle and a small quilt sale. So get your youngsters too, because they want to raise the next generation of quilters. You heard them. And why not? Right? Get all the details over at TucsonQuiltersGuild.com. I want to thank our new friends at the Tucson Quilters Guild for joining me today. You've been listening to Lifestyle Tucson. If you're a nonprofit that would like to be on the show, email lifestyletucson@gmail.com. For more information about this program or to listen to something you may have missed, go to the Sunday mornings page on klpx.com, kfma.com, mixfm.com, or espntucson.com. You can also subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, and Audible, or wherever fine podcasts are quilting. Follow on Facebook, Instagram, and especially YouTube at Lifestyle Tucson, because I'm your BFF, your best Frank forever, Frank Powers, and toot toot Tucson. I love you the most.